when you're building your bridge and you're trying to transition between your chest voice and your head voice, one of the best pieces of advice is to just slow down. Just take your time a little bit more. It's annoying because we want to just be able to do it. And maybe yesterday you could do it, and maybe last week it was working, but for some reason now it's not. The voice is a moving target, as I've said many times. But my advice to you is just to think about slowing down a little bit. Taking your time, giving that part of your voice the respect that it deserves. We know how good it sounds when people sing in that area, because most songs, most artists, most songs involve some kind of mix, some kind of high voice, that difficult area of the voice. We're often hearing it because it sounds impressive, it sounds emotional. And that's why it's hard. It's hard because it sounds good because it's hard, and we know it's hard. So therefore, don't rush it. Take your time. Try and just think, all right, one note at a time, which is really boring and slow. But when you've spent time frustrated with your voice, and I'm kind of a little bit inspired by some conversations with a student just half an hour ago. If you get stuck, what can we do to change that approach? And if you treat, the lower part of your voice the same as the middle part of your voice and the bridge, then you're asking for trouble, really, because it's so much harder in that area. It's so much harder. Every note is a new adjustment. Every note deserves some kind of navigation to get through it. So I just want to point that out to people. Take your time. Just try and build it a note at a time. I've been doing a lot of puffy cheek exercises with people recently. And I would also say, not only take your time, but spend a lot of time in that area. Spend a lot of time in that tricky area. That's the bit of the voice that we need to work on. It's the bit that will always catch you out when you're trying to sing a song. It's the bit that we fear. So just take your time, but spend a lot of time there as well. If I'm going to a gig and my voice isn't in great shape, this was something I've been referencing to students recently. I spent about an hour warming up on a drive on the way to a gig recently, and I just needed to be in that bridge area. I just needed to spend time in that tricky area of mixed voice, and the more I did exercises in that part of my range, the more it just paid off at the gig. Like, I know I wouldn't have sung as well if I hadn't have done those warm-ups and those exercises on that occasion. On other occasions I might not have felt the need to, but my voice was just worn out and a bit not coming out how I wanted it to, and I needed to get it going. So I spent a lot of time just around the bridge, just finding the balance, just finding the technique to just bring it back and get it coming out how I wanted it to, and it paid off. So I've been doing a lot of puffy cheek exercises recently. Maybe you could give this one a go. It's really good for keeping all the tension out of the way, but understanding the relationship between your breath force and the breath pressure and the vocal cords themselves, and just really how not to overdo it with breath. So puffy cheeks. We're getting a bit of, that feels a bit blowy, like I'm blowing, but just to get the sound coming out the mouth and make sure there is and it's not coming out the nose, and it's just, there's a little bit of space for the air to come out, not where it's too open. We need the puffed out cheeks to give us a bit of resistance and just to create that pressure in the vocal tract above the chords, as well as the air that's coming up underneath them. Once you've got that pressure in place, we don't then need to push or force it. The air is doing its job. It's already there. The right amount of breath is already sitting in the voice, if you like. The instrument has the voice, has the breath contained, and we're just trying to vocalize with that air sort of staying stable and staying in the same sort of feeling. So puff your cheeks, make sure the cheeks puff out. Nice bit of creaky core closure going on underneath that, but everything's open and relaxed and dilated. So again, taking your time. If you can't get up to that note, let's go up a bit. Or you feel like, oh, something's fighting, there's a fight. If feels uncomfortable, it feels like that note is getting pushed or just doesn't feel quite as easy, then take your time, go back. Just deliberate around that area. Don't just rush through a whole scale. Often scales and warm-ups, they're great when you're used to doing them and you can run through them quickly. But sometimes we just need to stop, pause the scale if you're using an exercise, and just redo that one scale run, the next one up, redo that one, go back down again, go back down a bit lower again. Sometimes just lowering it down to an easier, more comfortable note is a good way to just build up to the one that is causing you the difficulty. But don't just go when you can feel the tension. If something's not working right, slow it right down. What would you do on a guitar? What would you do on the piano, on the drums? Anything you're learning as a musical instrument, we probably all know, even if we're only singers, that, you know, practicing things like that, slow it down, and then you can gradually speed it up. And it's the same with the voice. Can't always sustain a note forever and slow it right down, but when we do give ourselves the chance to think, the brain can process what it's trying to do with the muscles. So just take your time and spend time in that area. And you want to ask yourself, when I go up to that note there, which is only a D, so it's just below the bridge at the moment for most guys, do you get this sense of push as you rise up to that D? You can feel it coming. That's telling you something. That's what you're looking for. You know, we don't want that sensation. We don't want your eye popping out its socket, right? And that's a D sharp. It's a little bit higher. Going up to the E. So I was doing it just now with a student, and you know, if you get stuck, sometimes just going up to there and back down again is all you need to do. Then add the next note. By trying not to push for it, trying to recognise if you do something extra to get that note, and you're like, oh, I don't need to do that. Trying to convince yourself what is necessary and what isn't. Trying to reconfigure the habits that the voice has, trying to reprogram that muscle memory. It's going to take time, and it needs, as I said earlier, the respect that it deserves. Not a loud sound. This is a really quiet, sort of chilled out sound. You're not trying to be loud. You're just trying to feel this sense of balance that sometimes might just not be easy for you. Now there, I had to just kind of just hold on a little bit more. I was going to maybe flip into a head voice there, but just hold on to it. Again, that's a hard thing to find when you're used to strain or too much tension. But you know, as I've said so many times, I'm sort of coming back round to this idea of reminding people that the notes below the bridge are where the problem starts. And if you rush up to the bridge, and when you notice that problem on the bridge, that's when you think that's where you think it is. You think the problem's there, but actually it started 2, 3, 4 tones lower. So you could even just go. So that was all in one breath, and it sounded like the same voice moving through that whole thing. But again, if it doesn't work, as you go up a semitone, just go back. Try and find the balance. Realise what is too much pushing and what isn't. And you're looking for this sense of balance. This is a great exercise for getting balance in the voice and everything just feeling comfortable. You can kind of get this feedback from it. You can tell when it's not right. So I just wanted to revisit that today with people and just remind people to take their time. Just spend time around the bridge and take your time on every note that you climb up to, trying to find it in a comfortable way. This puffy cheek exercise is brilliant. I didn't really use this when I was sorting out my voice. As I always mention, I'm someone who learned the hard way, having had an operation a few years ago to fix a cyst that I'd created through such bad technique, and I'm embarrassed when I look back at how I used to sing. I look back now and I'm embarrassed, and I was way too old when I sorted it all out. I suppose I have to realise that. I was way too old when I started, to be honest, in my mid-20s. But yeah, you know, I didn't use this exercise much, but it's one that I've turned to recently and had a look at recently, and I'm finding it a very, very useful tool for people. So do the puffy cheek thing. If you want to sort the voice out, these are the exercises that are going to get you there. Just helps you feel the balance, feel what too much breath force actually is. When you do that, when you get that set up in the voice and in the mechanism, the breath pressure is plenty already. It's all there. You don't need to push or do anything. You're just allowing a note to occur. You're just bringing the chords together and making them make sound with the breath contained as you've set it up. And that's all you need to do. We don't need to push for it artificially. We don't need to try and do anything extra. We just need to allow the chords to work and everything else to stay nice and relaxed. So try this puffy cheek exercise. Try just really slowly creeping up to the next note. Slowly moving up the next scale range. Just trying to find that note. Really easily. And see what you get. And that's my lesson for you today. As always, all the best with your singing. Please get in touch if you'd like a free 15-minute consultation. It's usually half an hour, and I'm also available for lessons online or in person in Leicester in the UK. I hope this video finds you well, and good luck with your singing. Cheers.